Welcome, Whiskey Geeks and Soju Seekers. You're watching Whiskey Whistle, and I'm your host, Mark. We're going to be staying in Asia for yet another episode. This is episode number 58, or review number 58. We're going to be looking at another Korean soju, and this one is also a very, very delicate, very lovely one, and it's called Moonbaesool. Moonbaesool. I guess the equivalent pronunciation in English might be Moonbaesool. Perhaps. Okay, so Moonbae is a type of wild Korean pear, and sul, in fact, is, well, a word that means alcohol. Okay, so that's quite interesting. And they've got quite a lovely packaging, very simple yet elegant, to display the little 200 milliliter bottle that I bought. Okay, this one's readily available in Korea at all big supermarkets. And you can also find porcelain, Korean porcelain or tagi bottles, specially made for the holidays, in fact. And you'll see one of those rolling through there. Okay, so let's get that open. This one's a little bit difficult to open, in fact. So give me a minute to get that out. And oh, well, I did it better this time. I guess the learning curve, right? Okay. Not much to see there, but I'll leave it there anyway. Okay, and you've got this very elegant, very modern styled bottle, and you see lots of this type of design, whether it be gin or vodka. So there is a aluminum colored lid, brushed aluminum, with a clear bottle and a very elegant straight label there. And the label, in fact, is made with Korean paper. So you've got a little bit of cultural, something reminiscent of Korean culture there left on the label itself. Okay, Moonbaesool. This is 40% ABV, and most certainly it's natural color because that's colorless. Apparently, some of the ones that come in the porcelain, what can I call that? A decanter. Flagons, the porcelain flagons, may have a slight, a little bit of a color, not quite white and not yellow, but somewhere in between there. So I'll have to try one of those at some point. I'm not sure whether that's the same spirit or whether it's a little bit different, but this is the one I've got, and this is the one I'm reviewing, and I quite like it. That's why I'm reviewing it. Okay. So, Moonbaesool, this is soju. This one, unlike the previous brand that I reviewed, this is not made from rice, in fact. A little bit of a short pour. There we go. This is not made from rice. This is made from millet, as well as sorghum, or susu in Korean, millet, which is cho in Korean. Okay, so cho and susu, and as soju, all sojus are made, it's made with nuruk. Nuruk is a kind of it is a fermented grain product that is hard, that was fermented using a natural fermentation process, kind of like sourdough. So imagine sourdough bread, but you leave the bread out until it gets dry, and in there will remain the yeast as well as enzymes. Okay, so that is the catalyst to ferment the mash, which in this case would be made from, as I mentioned, millet and sorghum. Okay, so they put some of that nuruk into the mash, and they allow that to ferment, and there you have your basic beer, we'll call it. Okay. All right. So very clear spirit. It's got a nice scent. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit of a sour note. Okay. And not sour meaning that something is not enjoyable, but just the fact that compared to sweetness, there's a little bit more of a sour note to it than sweet. Okay, So sour and then some sweetness, and it smells something like Korean pears, in fact, which are big and round. They've got a lot of juice in there, and they have a very distinct flavor. Worth buying wherever you are if you can find Korean pears. I believe they are exported. So pears, there's a little bit of a vegetal note in there as well. I wouldn't want to call it cucumber, but anyway, it's quite nice. Let me just check my notes and see what I had written. Well, ripe Korean pears, and then I wrote here plus the skins, and perhaps a little bit of cider vinegar. Okay. Now, just a very quick run through about Moonbaesool and this brand. It apparently dates back 150 years to Pyongyang, which is the capital of North Korea. It is currently made in Pyongan-do. So that sounds like it's an island. I should have looked it up. I didn't. But do usually means it's an island. Okay, so Pyongan-do is where it's made. It's interestingly was involved in helping to thaw the very cold relationship between South Korea and North Korea in 2000, between KDJ and KJI. So Kim Tae-jung, no, and Kim Jong-il. Okay. Currently, this is managed by Lee Seung-yong, and he was handed down the recipes by his grandfather, Lee Kyung-chan. And Seung-yong's father, who is Lee Ki-chun, is also involved in the company, and I believe is the head distiller there. And Lee Seung-yong is basically the figurehead of the company. Okay, and who you're looking at now is Lee Ki-chun, and then next should be the son. Yes, there he is. That's Lee Seung-yong. Okay. 1986, Korea, Korea, the government declared Moonbaesool to be an important intangible asset. So that's quite interesting. And Moonbae, in fact, means Korean wild pear, which I think I mentioned already. Okay. All right, so let's get into the taste. We're going to have a short advertisement right here. Welcome back. Okay, so we're tasting Moonbaesool 40%. Let's give it a try. So this one starts out with some sourness, and then it gets sweet, and then you get a little bit of bitterness towards the end of the palate. Okay, and what did I write here? Sour, sweet, bitter, and dry. There's some floral notes in there as well. Also Korean pears, some grape must. I wrote green grapes. And then interestingly, and let me just taste that one more time. Some young sweet salad greens. The sweeter ones like kale, some young spinach perhaps, which may sound odd, but it really does work very nicely with this particular mix of flavors with the pear. So imagine a nice salad with young spring greens and some sliced up Korean pears and a little bit of cider vinegar vinaigrette. That would be something that would be lovely, and this is what I'm tasting now. Okay. The finish is actually quite long, given that it's a white spirit. Also aged in, as I mentioned the last time, aged in Korean hangari, which is made from clay. Okay. For the finish, I wrote, it's fresh, it's clean, juicy, and fruity. So quite nice. We'll add a touch of water. Just a little bit. 40% doesn't need much water, but why would you want to bring the ABV down? Simply to explore flavors. You may prefer the ABV to be 40%, but you may actually get some stronger, lesser, or simply more interesting flavors at different ABV. Adding water incites a chemical reaction to occur between the natural chemicals that are already in there with the water itself. Okay, we'll roll that around a little bit. The very first time I tried this, I didn't quite understand the flavor profile very much. It was very different and a little more savory than sweet. And it kind of threw me off at first. But when I came back to this again a couple of times, I've really begun to realize the quality and well, I want to say loveliness, the loveliness of this spirit. Okay, so with water on the nose, you'll get more pears. They're quite ripe, okay, bordering on overripe. So the kind that you would eat, they'll be very sweet, and you may even detect a slight bit of natural fermentation going on in that particular kind of a fruit. You know, kind of like kiwi. When kiwi get to a certain point, you almost wonder if there is some naturally occurring alcohol forming in the kiwi. Okay, we'll try that. And there'll be a short little advertisement right here. Okay, welcome back. Let's try Moonbaesool, 40% with a touch of water. Konbae. Really brings the sweetness to the forefront. The sourness takes a step back, and the bitter, dry notes have also largely settled down. Okay. I wrote here a little bit of white pepper. And there's a slight little bit of smokiness going on there, but not like Scotch smokiness, but perhaps more like mezcal, the type of smokiness you may find in that spirit. Very unusual, but you know, really, really quite nice. I can see this being really good for both sipping, as I am, also using in some interesting cocktails, perhaps with some, you know, East Asian flavors to make the cocktail. I'll have to try making something. I wrote here umame, which is a Japanese word that is another flavor that people can taste. You know, what tastes do we have? We have sweet and sour and bitter, spice, which is actually apparently just pain, in fact, and salt. Okay, so these are the typical 5 spices, but apparently there's a 6th one, which is this umame, which is the flavor you get in roasted meat and roasted vegetables like onions. Anyway, you can read about that. Hopefully I've pronounced that correctly. But and interestingly enough, the finish is somewhat drier with water. Who knows why? Anyway, quite a lovely, lovely soju. If you're in Korea, definitely give that a try. It is not expensive. It is very reasonable. You can get this particular one, I believe I paid about 8,000 won for that, about $7 American, roughly. 200 milliliters. You can get the full bottle, I believe, for about $30 for 700 milliliters. So really, really good value. And I think that whether you like vodka or gin, this is something you can enjoy. If you like a variety of spirits, definitely give it a try. Scotch drinkers, well, again, it's unaged, so if you're looking for that vanilla and the sweetness, you may not get it, but what you will get is something interesting that you may be able to use as a basis for flavor notes for the future. So keep that in mind, okay? So the WhiskyWhistle Soju score for Moonbaesool 40% is going to be 90 out of 100. Fantastically made, interesting flavors, long history, and family made, which is something in this day and age should be applauded, okay? So 90 out of 100 for Moonbaesool Soju, which is made from millet and sorghum and nuruk, which is this kind of sourdough starter, we'll call it, fermentation starter, okay? So that's it for me here for number 58. My name is Mark, your host here at WhiskyWhistle, and if you watched till now, I really do hope you'll subscribe. You can just click the corner right over there, okay? And tune in next time. We'll be going back to Scotland. Goodbye.